This is my RDA deck profile for June 2026. I brought this to locals recently. I didn't do very well, actually, but I did have a lot of fun with the deck. I think it came down more to how I was playing it than the actual build, but I'm excited to showcase it on the channel. I don't have Power Vice Dragon yet, so you won't see it in the deck profile, but there are still combos you can do without it, and I'll showcase those after we get through the deck list. So first, 3 Soul Resonator. This is your normal summon. It adds level 4 Lore Fiend. The graveyard effect is also really good. If you control RDA or a synchro monster that mentions it, and your cards are going to be destroyed, you can just banish this instead. It's pretty similar to Salamangreat Balinx, but it protects everything, not just the cards that mention RDA. So it's really, really powerful. It's one of your starters. Next, we have 3 Bone Archfiend. Um, Another starter. All the combos are, I guess, 1.5 card combos because you need to pitch something for bone, but it can summon itself by pitching a card from your hand or field, and then you can send a tuner, a fiend tuner from your deck to your grave, and increase or decrease its level by 1. So this card is really, really good. Kind of in lieu of Power Vice, I'm playing 3 Stone Sweeper. Um, you can cut this if you play Power Vice Dragon, or in general, you could cut this to 2 so you don't open multiples, but you can discard this and search a Fiend Tuner, so you almost always search Soul Resonator with it. But it can be an extender if you need to search something like Vision or Darkness as well. And it can special summon itself if there's a field spell on the field, and that did come up once at locals. Other starter, 3 Crimson Gaia. Lets you add RDA or a card that mentions it from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So you can use this effect when you're under Droll to recycle stuff. And it's also really nice that you can just recycle your RDA monsters in the graveyard for the grind game. And the effect to turn everything in defense position or Book of Moon them did come up quite a few times for me. So, and then the final starters, 2 Resonator Call and 1 Foolish Burial. You could play 3. I didn't want to go overboard with the Resonator Call because ultimately you're going to use it to search Soul, and that's the normal summon. With the ratios I'm playing now, you're effectively playing 8 copies of your normal summon, which is honestly maybe too many. But again, this can also be an extender, and Foolish can dump Bone Archfiend. They can also dump Soul Resonator to search you an RDA spell or trap. For the miscellaneous resonators, we have the new Darkness Resonator. Really good card. It can be level 3, it can be level 1, it can change the level of the other monsters, and it can summon itself by revealing an RDA in your extra deck. I chose to play 2 Vision, kind of in lieu of that Power Vice Dragon, as I mentioned earlier. This card's a good extender. It's not the worst thing to open. Ultimately, you are going to summon it off of Crimson Resonator. That's the end goal. But I still think 2 is pretty good. And then 1 Synchron, which can summon itself if you control a Synchro. And then if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can recycle a Resonator except itself. And that second effect is not a hard once per turn. I did play 1 Wandering King as an extender, non-tuner. It can summon itself basically when you control a Resonator. And it can banish itself from the graveyard to add a Fiend Tuner with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand. But you can't use that effect has to be except the turn it was sent to the graveyard. This could be Red Lotus King Flame Crime instead. A lot of people play that card. They dump the Red Rain and they recycle it. I chose not to go that way. I didn't want to run too many traps in this build. Another new card, Fiend Peace Golem. One of you search it during the combo, as you'll see. And generally a really good card, kind of similar to Bone Archfiend. It can decrease its level by up to 2, and you can summon it when you control a Fiend Tuner. And then if you use it to synchro summon RDA or a monster that mentions it, you can reborn I believe it's a level 4 lower. Yeah, level 4 lower Fiend from your graveyard, which is really good. Although, as you'll see in the combo, that final effect we never really resolve because we tend to be making a Crimson Blade Dragon with it. Then the final cards dedicated to RDA are the Crimson Call, the new Searcher. It can recycle a level 4 lower Fiend, or if you control RDA or a synchro that mentions it, you can add that card from deck to hand instead. And then, honestly, maybe my favorite new main deck card, um, King's Resonance. I kind of think this is similar to Nibiru in a sense. It's based off the number of monsters your opponent summons, special summons. If they special summon 10 or more times, they can't respond to this card. Um, I was never able to hold it until my opponent summoned 10 times, but I was always able to hold it until they summoned 5 times. Um, if they special 5 or more times, you get to Book of Moon their whole field, which is really, really nice. Then the engine I chose to play alongside this is the Bestial package. So one Lubellion, one Magnemite, one Druisworm, and one Branded Beast. Um, you'll search this with the Crimson Blade Dragon, and it just gets you access to the whole package. You could run Branded Regained instead. I chose Beast as another form of disruption. And then obviously Magnemite is a lot better if you're playing Harmonia and Power Vice Dragon, which were not in this build, but Bestials were still pretty useful for me. And then lastly, we get to the non-engine. You can run anything here, anything you have really. I just chose stuff that felt appropriate for my locals, so 3 Ash, 3 Nibiru, 2 Droll, 3 Imperm, and a bit of a weird one, I played 1 Pot of Prosperity. Um, I found myself not using that many cards in the extra deck. Is usually the same, like 7 or 8 cards. So I did kind of designated targets for this. Um, Obviously, if you play Harmonia in your build, the extra deck space is going to be a little more tight because you're going to play probably Pack Bit, Malong, stuff like that. But I was able to run it in this build. For the extra deck, we have one of the new guy, the Crimson King. It searches a card that mentions RDA on summon, and then when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish it, special an RDA from your extra deck. Its attack becomes doubled. It's treated as a synchro summon, and I believe it can't be targeted. I believe that's what it says. Yeah, cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So it can still be targeted, but this kind of just puts a pseudo towers up on the board. You could play 1. I chose to play 2. There's a lot of things in the format that can rip cards out of your extra deck, so I chose to be a little careful. I never went through 2, but I still think 2 is the correct number. And then you're almost always summoning it through Scar Red. This card um, is incredible, especially the um, effect to blow up your opponent's board if you used it for a synchro summon. I believe destroys all attack position monsters. Really, really powerful. 2 Red Rising Dragon. Um, this is still kind of the MVP of the deck, unfortunately. I was kind of hoping that the new support would take some weight off this card, but I do find that, at least in the versions where you aren't playing Power Vice Dragon, you are pretty reliant on this resolving, and you'll see that later. 1 Crimson Blade Dragon to search the Bestial Lubellion. You can play other things in that slot. A lot of Genesis builds I've seen are playing Chaos Dragon Levianeer, which I thought was pretty interesting. Um, you can also run the Metamorph package, so you can run the full Metamorph Red Eyes, and then shuffle it back into the deck to set the max Metamorph. And that's actually 2 less cards than the Bestial Engine. 1 Zalen. I didn't find myself making this much. Um, Most of the time, you'll use the Red Rising Dragon to go into Scarred or Crimson Blade, so I didn't have many opportunities to use it. 2 cards I did use a lot, though. Your Negates, Dispatter, and Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. This deck basically spams these for a living. Red Supernova, I did actually summon and get to resolve, which is pretty cool. I'm not running Hypernova. I think that one's just too many resources, and you are incentivized to play Red Nova in those builds, which I guess I have the space for, but chose not to play it. 1 Belt. This helped in some niche situations. And then the final 3 are kind of just the fodder for Prosperity, although they are good cards. So 1 Chaos Angel, you're going to have to make this on turn 3 or turn 4, because you'll be locked into Dark Dragon Synchros. Stormbane Dragon to Storbim, and Draco Berserker the Tenyi. Kind of similar story with Chaos Angel. You'll usually be locked out of this on your first turn. But yeah, let's get over to the combo. So the combo is Soul Resonator and any discard. So we'll use Soul Resonator in an Ash Blossom, for example. Normal Soul. Soul is going to search you Bone Archfiend. You're going to summon the Bone by discarding the Ash. You'll use Bone's effect. Bone will dump your Crimson Resonator and decrease its level by 1. You'll use Bone and Soul to make Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising will bring back your Crimson, and this should be very familiar if you played this deck much. You'll use Crimson's effect to summon Vision and Synchron. You'll go 8 for Scarred. Vision's effect will trigger Engrave to search Crimson Gaia. You'll activate Crimson Gaia and add Fiend Peace Golem to your hand. From here, Synchron and Scarred for Abyss. You'll do Scarred Chainlink 1 to summon RDA, and Synchron Chainlink 2 to add the Vision back to your hand. And that's why it's important to make Scarred with Vision and not Crimson. So you add the Vision back to your hand, and then you'll summon out your RDA for free off of Scarred. You'll use these two to make your Bestial Dissipator. You can special the Vision because you control level 5 or higher Dark, and then you can special Fiend Peace Golem. You won't change its level, we'll keep it the same. So we'll do 2 and 5 for 7. So you're going to get your Crimson Blade Dragon. Crimson Blade will search Lubellion. You'll dump Lubellion to search Magnemite. Then another key part here, you're going to summon the Magnemite, but the card you have to banish is the Synchron, because we're going to need it later. Summon your Magnemite, you activate the effect, so you'll get the search on end phase. You'll summon your Lubellion by sending the Magnemite. Lubellion is going to place Branded Beast face up. Then you can use Dissipator to special the banished Synchron, and then you'll use Synchron and Crimson Blade Dragon. For your Crimson King, Crimson King is going to search your King's Resonance, which you'll set, and then during the end phase, your Magnemite will go off, and you can search for your Druid Worm. So you have the Druid Worm in hand, you have the King's Resonance, Branded Beast. This can basically summon out a Pseudo Towers, and then you have 2 negates with Hot Red and Bestial Dissipator.